All right. I didn't have a question for you, but I do have something for you, a little surprise. So I know I've surprised you before on this series with a donut, which is probably as peak as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing your enjoyment of donuts. But one thing that I do think you could use is...
My name is Will, and this is my attempt at my first 50K Ultra at the Sulphur Springs Trail Race.
Looking really strong though. Keep going.
What's up, guys? We're back with another episode. This one's going to be a little bit different. Dalton, actually, that's who's here with me right here.
I feel a little too close.
This is my coach. We're okay with being close, but he's here. He's fielded a bunch of questions from you. So just about my training and road to Sulphur Springs 50K. So he's basically going to ask me some questions that have actually come from you, and I'm going to try to give some answers.
Yes. So appreciate all the questions that we got. We took some questions on Instagram, on our Strava, and on YouTube. So make sure you guys are following all of our platforms there. But super stoked about these questions, like really good questions that we got from a wide variety of people. So the first question that I want to ask you is from Martin, who's part of Stack. He's asked a couple good questions, but what are some key challenges you struggled with during this training block?
Okay, it's a good question. So what challenges have I struggled with during this training block? I think one of the biggest ones is I'm obviously a dad. I have 2 kids, 2 little kids, and with that has come a fairly significant amount of illnesses throughout the training. So I would consider my training having started in January until about now. We're in May, and pretty much every month I've had some type of illness that's affected me. And that's been a big challenge, just trying to maintain my training and not get too off track as a result of that.
We'll keep it with Martin. He had a couple good questions around the same topic. So tell the viewers about lasting mindset changes and maybe eureka moments that you had during the training block.
I think with this run, it's a lot different just in terms of what I've been gaining from it. I think when you're doing a run that gets beyond the sort of 4-hour mark, and in terms of time, and just being in the trails, I think is different in that it's become much more of, I think, a journey of self-discovery, and there's been a lot more. I think you just get into a mindset of thinking about your life and just stuff I don't necessarily share all the time, but it's really challenged me to just have personal development through it. And that's not something I necessarily went into it thinking would happen, but I think it just, for me, it's happened just because you're out there for so long and you're in nature, and I think that there is something to that. It's almost like a form of meditation in a way.
Totally. Kind of on this note, our guy Matty Photo from Venture Media Marketing, who helped us record last year's Sulphur Springs video, which you guys should definitely check out, and is helping us record the big day this year. Asked a really good question on that side of things. So, how do you keep a positive mind state while grinding out hard miles? Do you have any tips for this?
Well, I think you have to experience the struggles to learn that you can make it through them. And so that means when the weather's bad, I still go out. When I'm feeling tired, I'm still going. And you're spending so much time on your feet running, and you don't always feel the same. And I think in my life in particular, like I'm really busy. I've got 2 little kids. Sleep is not always perfect. Stress is not always as good as it can be in terms of how well I'm managing that. And so some runs are going to be a grind, and I think what that does is it actually makes you realize that's okay and you can make it through it still. You're sort of understanding what you're capable of getting through, and also what do you need to do in order to overcome those challenges, and you just learn as you go. I'm very reflective, and so I try to reflect on those things. We talk about it, which really helps. And I think the more you reflect, the more you experience, the more time you're spending out there, the more you realize when things get hard, you have what it takes to get through that.
Yeah, love it. This is a question a little bit more about the training from Allison, who is on our relay team, big part of the movement community. We're super stoked to see her race coming up here. But she asked, how have you had to change your training for the longer distance, and did any of these changes surprise you?
The only real big difference is that when I am doing longer runs, I'm in the trail. And I mean, I shouldn't say the only difference, because it's a really big difference. When I was training for road, and that, I should say also, I don't feel it's really the distance that changes it. I think it's the terrain. Like obviously if you're running further, you're gonna have to like run more mileage and stuff, but like I'm still doing speed work. I'm still doing relatively the same in terms of what types of runs I do and stuff like that. It's just when you're on the trail, you can't really do like a zone 2 trail run the same way you can doing a long run on the road, because it's just so much easier on the road to keep your heart rate consistent. The terrain is relatively the same the whole time, minus some small hills here or there. But with the trail, it's not really like that. I mean, like my heart rate's gonna go up when I'm going up a hill. That's gonna happen pretty much no matter what I wanna do. So it's a different way that I'm approaching like my pacing during my runs. And also the load demands are a lot different. So, and one thing I've learned is it's the downhills that kind of crush you in the races, and especially you're doing longer race. So I've really purposefully tried to get more tolerance of running faster down the hills, because that's something that I know those are opportunities for me to run faster in the race. So I need to be able to tolerate it. I need to have the strength for it, to be able to like still have good energy at the end of the race. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yeah.
Thanks for the question, Allison.
Yeah, and I think just like from my perspective as like coaching, helping kind of coach you or like put your program together, it's just like more time on feet, because you're going to be running for longer than you ran a marathon for. And so it's like preparing your body for that, and nutrition, I think, are 2 things that it's not like it differs a ton from like what you do in the marathon, but it's just like more nutrition than you would have done for the marathon. Mm-hmm. So those are like kind of 2 things that I think differ as you go longer and longer.
Yeah, and it will get even more so the further distances I go. And that's part of the reason why I picked 50K and didn't jump to something like 100K or 50 mile, is because I'm also viewing it as this is probably a similar time on feet jump that I would have made if I were running a road marathon, because it's not that crazy amount of a difference just in terms of pure distance. And so for me, like I was running just a little bit less on my marathon last time, and so it kind of encouraged me to like increase my volume and get used to that. And I think that'll actually help me going back and training for a marathon again on the road, because I'll have some more tolerance to just running more. So it kind of just fit in the overall plan. Like I wanted to support my running long term, so I think if I had made a jump to something like 100 kilometers, for me, I'm not ready right now to like actually be on my feet for that much.
Yeah, totally. Question from our friend Will Howitt, who's out on the East Coast. He actually works with me with some running stuff and has a big ultra marathon of his own coming up. So it's fitting that he's asking you some questions. But the one question was from a nutrition plan, do you do both solids and non-solids? What are some of the things that you do?
I played around with it, and I do think with 50K distance, at least for this, right? Like this race might be different than another race. I think each race is completely their own thing, because if you're doing like more of a mountain race, you're going to be having so much more climbing. It's going to take way longer, right? Like, whereas I feel with this race, it is longer than a marathon would be for me, but it's not way longer. And I do think just the longer you're out there, the more you're having to eat, consume, and the more you're probably going to need to bring in solids. I have experimented with a little bit, and I just find it's the one thing I do know is it's something you have to practice, because you definitely have to train your gut for that, because I don't always feel great doing them, and I have learned there are certain things that are easier to eat at those times than others. And I think, to be honest, I still have more experimenting to do in that realm. Like, I've only just started. Right now, what are they called? Those sandwiches.
Uncrustables?
Uncrustables seem to be the easiest thing for me to eat.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think for me, like, I want to experiment with, if I venture into longer distance in the future, I personally want to experiment with stuff with more protein in it, like hamburgers and stuff like that. Because for me, right?
Yeah.
But I haven't even done that yet, and I don't think it would be really right for this distance.
Yeah, and I know Will's running a 50K, but it's going to take him a lot longer than you because it's crazy elevation.
Correct. Yeah.
So, Will, as your coach, we're going to practice both solids and gels and everything.
liquid carbs.
Liquid, yeah.
So yeah, you got to try all that stuff and the mixture, and I think you just slowly figure out. And a gel isn't a gel; like, they're different. The texture's different, how it feels in your stomach. So I think what I've done is I'm just trying a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's the best way. You got to figure it out, especially being young in the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure it all out. Got a question from, my phone's refreshing here. It was a running shoe question. So it was, do you have any running shoe recommendations? Which is always a crapshoot of a question sometimes, because shoes are so subjective. But maybe tell people what you've been running in and maybe what you think about when it comes to running shoes.
Yeah, so I think there's so much that can go into that, and I haven't, to be honest, tried that many shoes. Like, I haven't been doing this for that long. I'm pretty new into the game, and I tend to use Arc'teryx shoes just because that's what, have some hookups with that, and so I like the brand, so I tried them. And what I chose what shoe I wanted to use based on the race that I'm running, which is pretty low technical terrain. So I picked a shoe that has a little bit more of a rocker to it, and it has a little bit more of a higher stack, which I don't know if I would necessarily pick if I was running something that had more technical terrain. But it's the Arc'teryx Cyan. I'm not sure if there's anything else in the name there, but it's like, one of their shoes, and I like it. It's good. I could see, again, if I was doing a different course, it wouldn't be the right thing, right? I might choose another shoe.
Yeah, the running shoe question is hard because it's very subjective, but the good thing is there's a lot of brands making really good trail shoes now, and like everyone's kind of coming out with more stuff. Like, you know, Arc'teryx has been in the game for a while, but like Salomon has great stuff. Hoka's putting out really great shoes. Saucony, like all the big brand, they're putting out. New Balance is really up their trail game. So like I think it's more of, you got to just try a couple different things and see what feels good on your feet. And then obviously in the context of like what kind of race you're doing too would determine it. But I feel like it's always a tough one because I might like a shoe that you hate.
Totally. It's a lot personal preference. But, you know, at the same time, if any companies want to start sending me some shoes, I'm happy to try them.
Try them all, yeah. That was a question from Katie. She's a physio. So this is a good question. Cool. There was a question from your wife here. She said, "Can you bring a special treat home for me?" This was about a week ago when I posted this on Instagram, so you're a week late with the treat, but maybe if you want to fulfill on that, you can.
Well, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to find in the forest, but we'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Okay. Let me pull up our Strava here. So, because we got some questions on Strava, which if you guys aren't in our Strava Run Club, head over to Strava, check out the Movement Run Club. You know, even if you aren't local, we put some good stuff in there. If you are local, you should definitely check it out and then come to our run club because we would love to see you in person. This is me delaying so that I can get to the questions. But you should definitely check out our Strava. Okay, here we go. Okay, question. How do you manage your training schedule and what does a typical week look like for you time-wise? Do you cross-train? So there's a lot there, but maybe like a rough summary of like kind of what your training week looks like. And obviously, I know you cross-train, so you could probably include that in there.
Cross-training meaning like strength training?
Yeah,
kind of
or
thing?
like bike, or on the bike, or rowing, I would imagine too.
Yeah, so, well, I'll answer that first. So I do cross-train. I obviously value lifting weights. I think it's a huge part of just maintaining your health, building your strength, building your running economy, all those good things. But what I am finding is just I've had to be okay with not maintaining a ton of it as I get closer to a big event like this, because it does affect my fatigue, and I also have to consider, I also have to have time to spend on my work and with my kids, and like as I build up my running, it does get harder just for me to fit that in. It is something each time I want to get closer to where I can maintain it the whole time. So I am intentional about that. But that being said, in the off season, I switched that priority a lot and train pretty hard in the off season. So that definitely recommend as a general thing, cross training, and you got to sort of go by how you feel and learn how much you can continue to push it and how to sort of adjust it as you're getting closer to your races.
Yeah, totally.
And then so there was
just maybe like a brief structure of your training week, like how many days a week were you running? What did that look like?
Yeah. So historically I've ran 4 times a week. So that was a big thing that changed as I started preparing for this. I did include a 5th day. So, and then I would say as I got closer towards peaking, I would probably be spending about 7 hours a week running, give or take. And as I built up higher, like I peaked at around like my higher weeks were like 70 to 80 kilometers in terms of, and then I would have, at least one day in the midweek, ideally, where I would be on the trail. The rest were road. And then on the weekend, on my longer runs, when the weather permitted, I would be on the trail on those longer runs. And then, is that pretty?
I think that's good. Yeah.
Just to give it a general idea. Yep. And I guess how did I manage it? So, longer runs are done on the weekend. I think how I manage it is trying to get up early for those, so I minimize the time that it kind of spends, just interrupting my life. And then I think you sort of, as you're building up, you got to gradually just kind of understand where in your days those runs in the midweek can happen to minimize the amount of thinking that you have to do during the week. And being okay with like things coming up and flexing, like being flexible with your training too. Like I've had times where, something happens, I can't do I can't do it when I wanted to, but guess what? I'm running at 9 p.m. It's like not my favorite thing to do, but I've got to do it. I'm also like, if it rains, I'm still running. If it's cold out, I'm still running. If it's hot out, I'm still running because I have to. It's not really an option if I want to train the way I want to train for the race.
Totally. There's a little bit of maybe more on this question. It's kind of similar, but Eli, shout out Eli, part of the movement team, also running the relay. How do you manage the time pressure of family and ultra running? I think you kind of just hit on it a little bit, but is there anything that you would want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the big thing that I would add is like, there's obviously relationship dynamics there too. And I think communication is important with what I am doing, what my plans are for the weekend and for my longer runs. I make sure that my wife Rose is not completely out of the loop on that. We also make sure to have an actual plan is important, because then you're not just randomly trying to squeeze things in. Like, it's planned. So, I know what I need to figure out how to do ahead of time. That minimizes how much, again, I'm needing to think about things. And the other thing is I need to reciprocate that prioritizing my wife's time and health and fitness, right? So when she wants to do things, I'm game to take the kids. I can't want one thing and then not support her when she wants to go to F45 or when she wants to go do some running herself, right? And I actually think that's good and we also know what our values are and what we want to demonstrate the kids. So we want them to see us out there doing the stuff. Like last time we did the long run, like they came and were there, and they need to know like this is an important part of our life, right? So I think that's like some stuff that I would add to that.
His second question was, does the beard enjoy trail running?
What does that mean? Like, does my actual beard enjoy it?
I think that's what he's asking.
I mean, the proof's in the pudding, right? It's trail running season for me, which means, look at this, right?
Yeah.
I really believe that the mindset that trail running puts me in is great for the beard and also the nature for sure, right? Like, hey man, they don't call me Billy on the trails for no reason, right?
I could just see you doing
the Billy Goat beard.
Yeah, I could just see you doing like a long, like 100K, and like you go in with your beard now, and then you come out and it's like down to your knees, and it just like grew exponentially because of the energy of the trails. You know what?
Let's check back in after 50K.
Yeah, let's see if we got any more beard length.
Do a little tape measure test.
Okay, another question we got is from one of our favorite people in the movement run club, Ken Kenna, legend, awesome guy. Had a great question. He said he checked out our episode where we talked about your peak training strategy, which shout out to Ken for watching the YouTube videos. And if you guys aren't watching the YouTube videos, make sure you head over to the YouTube channel, subscribe so you don't miss out on any episodes. You can watch all of the series we did on Whale building up to the Sulphur Springs Trail Race. But Ken's question was, we talked about like building up adequate time on feet, but we didn't really talk too much about like the types of runs that we did. He wanted to know, did you incorporate any speed work, hill training, or any other things specifically, and why or why not?
Great question. So I mean, I guess this is probably more in reference to peaking. So I shifted away from speed work toward my peaking phase, and I think just made it a little more specific. And so instead of the speed work, I incorporated a little bit more hill training. So I would do like hill repeats, that sort of thing, just because that's obviously a little bit more specific to what I'm doing. Spent more time on the trails, and I really would emphasize things that I know I need to work on. So just like, and even just in my midweek trail run, you know, even if it's not hill repeats, it's like I'm being strategic with figuring out like, when do I need to walk up a hill in order to conserve my energy? How fast can I go down hills? Just focusing on actually running fast down hills and getting used to that load tolerance, right? So I think generally speaking, it's shifting toward more hill work and just focusing on the technique and the load tolerance of that stuff and the fitness of being able to, you know, endure running up more hills. So, you know, it's like searching for hills and that kind of thing. That's the big shift. Still did a lot of tempo work in the beginning of the build because I still think it's valuable to, especially long term, to just build how fast you can run. So I don't think, you know, I would really be taking that out. Mm-hmm. But I think as you get toward an event that just has more elevation, like that's definitely something I wanted to focus on more.
Sweet. Yeah, I love it. Do you have anything else you want to say? Do you want to address the camera? I have one more question for you, but I need to step out for a second. So if you want to address, say anything, any final words, any like special things to the camera, like now's your time, and then I'll be right back. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything really super specific to address, but just in general, thank you for the questions. I think those are awesome questions. It challenges me to sort of think about what I'm doing a little bit more. I think in general, it's something, what I try to focus on is having a long-term mindset and thinking about what my goals are. What do I want to get from this? And it's constantly changing. I'm constantly trying to evaluate that. But I think generally, like, I want to be doing this for a long time. And so that's something that I always carry with me. I try not to get too caught up in like the short-term mindset, and it's okay for things to take time to develop. Like, for example, I know I want to do like longer ultras in the future at some point, but I'm not in a hurry to get there. I think I just want to get better at running. And so generally speaking, I think that's a big thing that informs a lot of my approach is I'm trying to slowly build on myself over time so that I can continue to get better. And ideally to avoid injuries and stay healthy for a long time and just keep doing what I love to do as much as I can. So that's my address to the people.
the final thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't have a question for you, but I do have something for you, a little surprise. So I know I've surprised you before on this series with a donut, which is probably as peak as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing your enjoyment of donuts. But one thing that I do think you could use is a new watch.
No way. Are you kidding me?
I figured that heading into your race, you would need something that would be a little better than
that's epic.
What you had.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give you this.
Thanks, man. That's awesome. I'm really excited to use it.
I figured all your hard work, all your training.
Oh, yeah.
A little reward.
Dude, that's hype, man. Thank you. That's super cool. I'm excited to crack this open.
Yeah, so we can get rid of that rose gold watch.
Actually, maybe Rose will be able to use it. It's probably better for her style.
There you go.
That's awesome.
So,
sweet, super
have
excited.
to set that baby up.
Yeah.
And get her ready to go for the race next week.
Wow, man, sweet,
Yeah.
super cool. Let's get that up there.
Yeah.
Look
the
at that.
Koros Pace 3, shout out to Koros. They did not give us this watch, but if they wanted to send us watches in the future.
Hey, maybe, we get to 500 subscribers or something.
Yeah.
Which, if you're watching, you can help us do that.
Yeah, on that note, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. This is going to be the last video before we get the big race day video. So we're super stoked to document it. Again, like I said, if you want to get a sense for kind of how this race went last year, we did a whole YouTube video on the actual 100-mile relay. This year, we're going to be doing a video on the 100-mile relay. We're going to do Will's Peak race video as well. So we're gonna have a lot of awesome content coming to you guys. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. As Will said, we're on the road to trying to get 500 subscribers. We just hit 253 as recording this video, which is a big milestone for us. We want to try to hit 250. We made it. We're on the road to 500. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out our Instagram page. Check out Strava. But yeah, more to come. And thanks for tuning in. Catch you in the next one.
It's a lot better than a donut.
Bro.
Sick. So pumped.